And I'm here today on this beautiful Monday afternoon with
Erick Strauss, one of the directors of The Redemption of General Butt Naked.
And I'm Danielle, and I'm also director of the film.
Thank you, Erick and Danielle. We're so happy to have this opportunity to speak to you. Can you tell us a little bit about the film? And generally, we have a lot of youth audience, and so we're very anxious to have them interested in this story and about the history it portrays.
Well, the film basically chronicles the life of an individual named General Butt Naked, who was a notorious Liberian warlord in West Africa in the nation of Liberia, who fought during the Liberian Civil War. And he, at a certain point during his life as General Butt Naked, he had a profound religious conversion and found God and became a Christian and left his warlord persona behind and is now trying to reinvent himself as an evangelical pastor named Joshua Milton Bly, who is attempting to balance the scales of the past, attempting to right the wrongs of the crimes that he committed in the past.
Would you like to add anything to that?
I think he nailed it.
Thank you. How did a story like this become of interest to you both?
I mean, I think Erick read the story in a book and sort of went to meet Joshua in Ghana at a refugee camp there, and to see if his story was as, rich and complex as it sounded. And then, he came back after having met Joshua and, told me about the story, and I was instantly fascinated, and it raised a lot of questions for me. Is it possible for somebody like this to have such an extreme transformation? And if so, what would that look like in the real world? How would that play out? So we both talked about how we would approach the film, and that was about 5 years ago, and it took us a long time. It's been a really long journey that we've been on.
Wonderful. Now, the term redemption is really interesting because we hear about figureheads also. We talk about the Tuki story about redemption. Do you think, after speaking with the general or even now Joshua, do you feel that redemption is sincere?
I think it's complicated. I mean, I think that Danielle and I structured the film and really tried to present the film in such a way that it wasn't up to us to really decide whether Joshua Milton Bly was redeemed for what he'd done in the past, but really it was up to everyone who watches a film like that to really decide for themselves. I mean, is he General Butt Naked anymore? No, he is not. And he definitely has had a genuine and profound religious conversion and is struggling in his life to do good and to try to balance those scales from the past. But even if he is genuine, there's still many questions there, such as, should a man like that be free? I mean, should he not still be imprisoned? Should there not still be justice? How does a man like that walking the streets free, affect the larger community who were traumatized by what happened during the war? So I think that only takes you so far, the question of is he genuine, and then there's so many more questions, hopefully, that the story asks of the audience.
Thank you. Danielle, my question for you is, we're talking about the general, but he is just a general. There's got to be an army, a cadre of commanders, captains. How are they along the line? Are they in this story?
It's interesting. When Joshua was fighting as General Butt Naked, he commanded an army of child soldiers called the Butt Naked Battalion, and he had so much influence over them that he got them to strip nude and go into battle and fight on his behalf. And as Erick explained, the reason that they were nude, it was a traditional belief system. They actually thought that, they would be invincible to bullets. When the war ended, a lot of these young men, these young fighters, were homeless, drug addicted, and some of them became violent criminals on the street. So a lot of the film actually follows Joshua's efforts to reconnect with some of his former fighters, and he makes some sort of stumbling attempts to rehabilitate them throughout the film. And you're sort of, as you watch this process, you also see that he still has such an incredible sway over these young men. His charisma is still so strong, and in some of the scenes where he's preaching, you start to see General Butt Naked and how he led his army of child soldiers. I mean, there's a similar dynamic when he's preaching to a group of young men in a church, as there was when he was fighting.
Yeah. Being a commander of their minds and hearts. Is the screening all done within the prison walls, or in what kind of scenery do we have here?
Well, I mean, it's a documentary. So we traveled to West Africa, to Liberia and Ghana, and the whole film is shot in Liberia and Ghana. And yeah, I mean, we were in the actual locations. Joshua Milton Bly, the former General Butt Naked, would take us back to the locations where he fought or committed crimes, and then in the present tense we would be interacting with him when he would go to congregations and preach, or revivals, or engaging with his former victims, or the people he victimized, and the people he was seeking forgiveness from. So yeah, we worked and traveled for 5 years all across Liberia and Ghana.
Along that line, Danielle, during that 5 years, did you get communities out there maybe in protest of the fact that his story was coming to light? Sometimes we see that war criminals are like, don't give them that ability to tell their story.
Sure, that's absolutely a fantastic question. I mean, while we were there, Joshua Milton Bly is such a public figure in Liberia that people are really used to seeing him in the news. He's very much a recognized figure, and in some ways we felt like we were documenting what was already a significant amount of exposure within Liberian society. But by the same token, I mean, I think it's a valid, concern. Certainly that this man would sort of be put in the spotlight. And for us, I think that Eric and I always felt that there was value in telling a story from the perspective of a perpetrator, so that we can really learn what drives people to commit evil. I mean, I think that we have a tendency to say that there are evil people and then there's us, and we try to create a distance. And I think Eric and I really hope to collapse that space and really force viewers to wrestle with the fact that we all to some extent are capable of committing atrocities. So we in some ways felt a responsibility to tell this story.
Thank you. Can you tell me, is this your first collaboration?
Well, actually, Danielle and I, we met working and collaborating at National Geographic. So we were working on films with National Geographic Television in the past, and that's where we developed our working relationship. And then when we found the story and I'd gone to Ghana and sort of started this relationship with Joshua Milton Bly, we both wanted to tell very similar stories with very similar themes, and we thought this would be a perfect film for us to collaborate with. But I mean, this is certainly our first feature documentary film, and we're thrilled that it's premiering here at Sundance.
That's fantastic. And so is this, for both of you then, this is your first feature film. Is this your first film at Sundance, or have you been here before?
We were here 2 years ago just as a part of the audience to take in as many movies as we could, and we were completely blown away by just the sort of level of thinking and discussion and debate that goes on here around the films. It's really just an incredible experience.
Thank you. What can we expect about distribution in the United States? Which particular market are you going to focus on?
I mean, right now at this point, I mean, this has been our world premiere right here at Sundance. So we're just, getting the ball rolling with all of this. And, we have a sales agent, and we're obviously hoping, I think we're hoping for as wide a distribution as we possibly can. And we're passionate about the story and the issues that it raises, and we really want to get it out there to as many people as possible. So, we'd very much be interested in theatrical distribution, cable networks, both domestically as well as overseas.
That's wonderful. Well, do you have anything to add to anything that we've said?
Would love to thank you for having us here. This is an excellent program.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My name is Anecita Augustinus from On Native Ground.
My name's Erick Strauss.
And I'm Danielle Anastasian. We directed The Redemption of General Butt Naked, and you are on Native Ground.